Okay, welcome to Satsang. Today it's going to be a little different. I had an email from a person a while ago, and he quoted Ramesh Balsekar, his major teaching. Are you familiar with his teaching? Okay, it consists of only 4 words, his teaching. Now, he's an enlightened master. He passed away not so long ago. He was a direct disciple of Nisargadatta Maharaj. And to top it all, I had a couple of other emails asking me similar questions, so I thought, well, this is the time to really talk about it, about the teaching of Ramesh Balsekar. Now, the 4 words that he uses all the time is this: it is the will of God. Now remember that. So 95% of people who listen to the teaching for the first time get absolutely confused. One, they want to believe him because he's so wise and he lives the life, the enlightened life. And number 2 is, it just doesn't make sense. This means that the Holocaust was the will of God. This means that all the suffering was the will of God. Does it mean that all the poverty in the world and suffering is the will of God? The mind says, Burt, say yes or no. Which one is it? Okay. But let's go into it, okay? And I'd like to get your participation. I'm kind of excited about this because I want to see your approach and how well you address it. Well, first of all, I'd like to say this, that the moment we hear words like the will of God, immediately we go back to our third dimensional thinking. For thousands of years, religions have taught us that God is up in the sky, that God is separate from us. Okay? And of course, that's where the misunderstanding come in. Now we're entering the fourth dimensional, state where we are beginning to understand that the unified field principle is the very law of life itself. The unified principle means everything is one, interconnected, interdependent, interrelated. Everything is one. Now, if you begin to feel that everything is one, means that you are God too. But let's go into that. The will of God. What is will? What is the will?
Desire. Desire.
Okay, a desire.
Drive.
Drive.
Intention.
Okay.
Creation. Creation.
Creation. Okay.
Conclusion.
Keep feeling it. What is the basis, the oneness? See, when we think about will, the will of God, we immediately create the biggest blunder of humanity. It's been called the fall of man. It's been called sin. It's been called many things. We separate. We can't help it. It's immediate. We just separate. Okay? So immediately if you think the will of God, it means it belongs to God, not to me. You got it? Your will and the will of God, are they the same? What you feel. Just say what you feel.
Well, it depends where you're coming from.
Doesn't matter. Is it the same? Ultimately. The will is the will. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. Because now we're discussing the ultimate will. The will.
If we're not separate, then it couldn't be separate. Right?
Exactly. Right. So if we are not separate, yes, you go to basics. Excellent. Go to basics. There is no separation in anything. So therefore the will of God and your will are the same. So what is that sameness? What is it?
Isness. Isness.
Oh yeah, isness. Okay, another word for isness.
Now.
Now is very beautiful. Now is absolutely beautiful.
Well, truth. Now.
So when you are now, and you're not caught in the future, you're not anxious about what's going to happen, and you have forgiven the past, you're totally now, well, how do you feel?
Free.
Free?
Joyful.
Joyful? What is the one thing that embraces it all?
Conscious?
Yes, it is conscious. It is consciousness itself.
Love.
Love. Love is the wholeness. Love is the totality. Love is all that there is. You can call it freedom, you can call it consciousness, you can call it whatever you want, And it's physical, sexual, mental, emotional, spiritual. Everything is love. Okay? Stay with that, please, because this is where we're going to understand the will of God. Love is all that there is nothing else. It took me 27 years to actually realize something so simple. That love is all there is. And when we realize the power of now, the now itself, because now has no exit. Now has no beginning or end. Now is always now. It doesn't matter how much time passes, it's always now. So what does it mean now, when you are in the now? You feel love. You're totally present. You're totally here. It's love. You see? You're totally present with another person. You're one with them. You feel love. You forget yourself. You're present in your hobby. You're dancing. You're laughing. You see? What is it? It's love, isn't it? You're feeling that wholeness. That wholeness is love. This is our will. We seek love all the time. You see? We start out in relationships. We'd even put ads in the paper for a lover, and then we move in mentally for communication and friendship, and when we move into other areas, but love is all we ever want. Love is all that there is. When we feel love, we are happy. We are fulfilled. But love, now keep remembering, there is no separation in love. No separation at all. So where is love? If I say where is love? Because love is. Okay, you're a human being, a being playing a human role. The being itself is love. Okay? How is that? How is being love? Say anything.
It is love.
And how is being love?
By virtue of its being, by virtue of its
By
existence.
virtue of its being, yeah. So we're all saying the right thing, but I just want to get to it because, again, for the sake of the people on the internet who are trying to decipher this, because the will of God has caused a lot of misunderstanding. Okay? And why is some third world countries suffering so much and we are so wealthy and well-to-do? Is this justice? Is this God creating this? We're going to understand this, but we have to take it step by step. So feel out each step of the way. Okay? Now, when we think of God, what is God?
Love everything.
Love everything, right? So we go back to the same thing, being, love, right? We're going around in circles here. There is nothing else but that. Now stick with that, because that is going to make everything clear. Got it? Okay. But now we also mentioned there is another block. A block that is the greatest illusion to humanity. In fact, it's being called sin. It's being called the fall of man. It's being called many, many, many things. Okay? It's called separation. So now what happens when you haven't realized yourself to be love? What starts to happen?
You need love.
That's right. You start seeking love. Because since love is all there is, then love seeks itself. Self-recognizing, organizing too. You see what I mean? It's complete. Okay, keep feeling it out. All right? So now when love starts seeking itself, why is it doing that? Because love is so powerful, so beautiful, that it wants to remind you that there's nothing outside of me. There's only me. No, that's not the me ego I'm talking about. This is love talking, okay? Inside you, it's saying, there's only me. There's nothing else but me. And if you don't feel me, I'm going to make you look out for it. But you, with your conditioned mind, start seeking out for it. And you start thinking, it's out there, isn't it? The love. So the moment you start thinking that's something you're going to get, and it's not you, that starts the suffering. That's called ignorance or unawareness of one's true nature. You see? I had an email just a few days ago, and I love this man because he's so sincere, you know, and he wrote me from Facebook, and we had 2 Skype sessions. And finally, on the second session, he said, "Why is this happening to me, Burt? I'm anxious, I'm depressed, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm lonely, and this is all happening." And then I stopped for a moment and I said, "Why are you punishing yourself?" You see, and we talked about that. He never stopped to think that he is causing it all through the separation. And he wrote me this letter. Could you read it?
Sure, I'd love to.
Yeah. Now listen to his words.
Dear Burt, I had a realization about the issue that I've been dealing with that we talked about on Skype. That is, somehow I am enjoying to punish myself for feeling guilty. I do accept fully that I am punishing myself because of the guilt that I created inside of me, but I never understood how could I find the joy in it, because to me it felt like a very awful experience. That is, how could I be enjoying my suffering so much? Then it came to me that what is going on is that by my suffering, I was proving myself to be right about what is going on. And the need to be right superseded even my need to get better, recover, and save my own life. Wow, that was a big one. That is now what I know. It is true that my need to be right, and especially having my way, will always mean suffering, because it would be controlling everyone and everything around which is totally out of my control. And it would drain every drop of my energy, as it has been doing until now.
Excellent, excellent. So there you see, and he realized something beautiful, and I wrote him back and I said, wow, okay, a little exploration, a little looking into oneself can bring so much revelation, you see. So let's talk about that, okay, the letter, because that is the crux of the matter. As a matter of fact, it was so good, and I've had a similar ones, but he was very, what is the word?
Clear.
Clear, okay. Clear. I was going to use a big word like erudite or something like that. So this is it, you see. So how does suffering then occur? You know, somebody is suffering a great deal, and it is the will of God that I suffer then? How do you reconcile it from what you have heard, from what you've explored, and from the letter you've just heard? I am suffering so much. Oh, this is happening to me. Is this God's will?
I want to say yes, because it actually brings you back to the realization.
That's very interesting, Jan. Very interesting. So, but you cannot really say yes and no, right? That's the logical thing where the ipso facto is there. I mean, it isn't so cut and dried. There are fine points here. Okay? So tell us more about what you are saying.
Well, it's like it's the soul experience.
Yes. And what is that experience?
But it's through the suffering that you need to experience.
Okay, so how is God, the will of God, creating that suffering that this person is feeling?
That's kind of a little reverse learning.
Yeah.
Are those in a way like lessons that God wants us to embrace everything?
Right.
So love everything that's coming up? So that's the will of God, is just to love no matter what.
That's
what
right.
arises?
So no matter what, yes, it is to love what is happening. So it is the will of God that created the suffering then? Or is it the interpretation? You see? Let's understand this. You see, there is always a sense of separation in us. We cannot help it because we are human being, and the two contrast. Sorry. Okay? So because of that, we keep choosing fear rather than love. Okay, as a matter of fact, 95%, like Asajola said, you know, he's the founder of psychosynthesis, I'm always keep repeating that. He said 95% of our energy is spent protecting, defending, and maintaining our self-image. And it's all imagination. So that's what ego is, you see. We're constantly wanting to be right and wanting to control, and because of that we separate from the very nature we are. And because we separate from the very nature we are, God is love. And love does not know anything else but love. Anything else is not real. That's quite something. And that's why I love the Course in Miracles. When I heard this message, it says, nothing real can be threatened, only the real exists. And the real is love. In fact, anything else is not real. And if there is no love, it's all a bunch of illusion. So therefore, the separation creates the illusion of suffering, which becomes real in a sense, or seems real, because the law of attraction makes anything through imagination seem real. You see what I mean? So if you believe something that is negative, and you keep on believing it, to you it is real, because that is your perception, that is your way of seeing. You see? But that doesn't mean that you're actually suffering. Okay? Let's talk about people who have suffered, people who have gone through quite a bit. How is that the will of God? Let's understand that, please, because I still feel that there is some clarity to be had here. See, love seeks itself, always. Self-recognizing. It is oneness that does everything. Oneness is love. Love is always creating more and more of itself and seeing more and more of itself. But also, being born human, we have choice. The choice is very limited. And the choice is between love and fear. So therefore, because we keep seeing things in a limited sense and we do not know we are love, our being is love, then we keep choosing fear. Now, do you see how fear creates all the suffering known to humanity? All the wars, all the crimes, all the so-called evil. What is evil? Evil is a word spelled E-V-I-L. Change it around and the word is live. Okay? So the opposite of living is evil. So any illusion that is not found of love is, in a way, evil. Are you with me so far? This is not created by love, okay, but misinterpreted, or, yeah, the word is misinterpretation, right, of love. See, the moment a human being feels separation, the first thing they feel is, I'm not good enough, there is something wrong with me, I am suffering, I'm missing something, people don't love me, people don't want me, people don't understand me, nobody understands me. Right? It's natural. It's a process. Please keep seeing it. Because the moment you lack the understanding of love, which you are, immediately you suffer lack. Because you are denying your very nature, which is God. Okay? That very denial creates the illusion that there is something wrong with you because you feel separate. Look at all the people in mental homes who had nervous breakdowns or totally maladies. They all started out with a feeling of separation. You see? And one time there was a movie, Shirley MacLaine, I think. It was Out on a Limb. Have you seen it? Have you seen it? Anyway, she was told by her teacher on the beach. He said, stand up, put your hands out in the air and say, I am God. She couldn't do it. She thought it was egoistic. She thought it was, you know, how can I be God? Me, so small, right? We can't believe that we are great beings. So we keep denying our very nature all the time. You see, and I think it was in the Course of Miracles. It was, no, the African president, Mandela. Do you remember his speech, his inaugural
Marianne
speech?
Williamson.
Was that?
Marianne Williamson.
And it was taken from Marianne Williamson. Marianne Williamson took it from the Course of Miracles, right? Okay. But I don't remember the words exactly. But what it is that we are not really afraid of, of the faults that we have. We are afraid of our own greatness. You see? And that is the whole thing. People can't believe that they are actually God, because we always think in terms of isolation, separation. You see?
So is it the smallness afraid of the greatness? Like,
The small is always afraid of the greatness.
so it's our...
The first man that looked at the stars, he said, oh my God, how beautiful this is, so grand, so beautiful, and I am so small. You see, he couldn't see that he is the stars and the sky he's looking at. But he identified with the body. But of course we understand that because he's still not fully evolved. He's got his first glimpse. You see, the first glimmer. Yeah.
What is it that has the capacity to misperceive love?
Separation.
But what is that, if love is all there is? Then
Yeah,
what is it that has
that's
this?
very interesting question. Love is all there is. But we are born human. The human is born with the instinct of survival. Survival says do everything in your power to survive, because otherwise you can't evolve. You can't evolve in a human form. So you have to find food, you have to find shelter, you have to find a form of security in being a good hunter for food, etc., etc. And doing that, you begin to separate automatically from everything around you, because you're going to do everything in your power to survive. So the need for survival creates the sense of separation. Now you might say, is separation wrong then because it's the greatest evil in the world? No, nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong. Separation cannot be... So like ego, for example, you know, many people ask, well, why does God permit ego to exist? Because without ego you cannot realize your true nature. You see? So are we understanding the dynamics here? But love is all there is. God has nothing to do with ego or fear or anything else. You see? The rest that is created, the survival that is created, also was created by creative mind. Okay? The universal mind. That's what brought creation into being. And that's what gave us all the needs of survival. See, when a child is born, the moment he's born, it starts sucking the breast. It starts wanting food. It cries when it's eating, whatever. This is all natural instincts that we all have. Okay? You know, there's no right or wrong in anything. As a matter of fact, we can see beauty in anything. And the beautiful thing that everything is perfect is that we can look at imperfection and see perfection also in it. You see? as long as we don't separate. Now you might say, but I can't help separating all the time. Then as we become aware that we're separating all the time, which is being done all the time, that very awareness makes us separate less and less and less. You see, and we feel more and more and more love. See, until we come to the point where we realize that who we thought we were never existed. We are love itself. But the beautiful thing is, when you realize you are love itself, is that you see everything as you. There's nothing but you. Can we talk about that, please? Because this seems to be the greatest, not the greatest misconception, but the greatest difficulty to understand. The mind cannot understand it, but the heart can. And you all have intuitive hearts, otherwise you wouldn't be coming here. So, so the question is, it is when you disappear that you love the most, right? You love that symphony so much that once you hear it, oh, there's no you. But you're it. You're dancing. You're having such a wonderful time while you're dancing that you are the dance itself. There's no you. So when you have the optimum experience of love, there's no you. So where is you, the love that you are? There's only love. And you are everything, all that love. How many of you are understanding this? Are you getting this? That is the paradox, you see. That is the duality.
And that just brings up we were talking about it a few weeks back about power versus force. It's the power of love compared to forcing what you want to happen.
Yeah.
Seems.
Yeah. These are the two opposites that are always working, but at the same time they help us evolve when we become aware of the dynamics. You see? You see, we are brought up in the third dimension in thinking of brute force, brute strength. The third dimension is, be strong, be macho, know what you want, know where you're going. But the teaching has always told us that the meek shall inherit the earth, right? Which most people hate that statement. but the meek is very strong. The meek, what was meant by the word meek, is kind, gentle, forgiving, loving, feminine principle. You see, which we are moving into in the fourth dimension. You see, that is strength. Because that's not afraid of death. That's not afraid of suffering. It can meet everything on its own ground. Because it's meek. It does not resist, it does not fight, it does not struggle. It allows, it surrenders. Out of understanding and courage and strength. You see? So these are the paradoxes. Okay, that's why that book was so beautiful too. Okay? So, so this is the greatest thing that is acquired to get, is that in the beginning, non-duality keeps telling us that there is no person, there is no personality, there is no individual. Okay? But after we awaken, we realize it's true. But there's only you. There's nothing but you, because even when you look at other people, you see yourself. Are you with me? See, so this is the shift that starts happening automatically. See, nothing changes except we're seeing clearer. We're seeing